Chapter 1. Robin of Locksley. Robin Hood was born in the small town of Locksley in Nottinghamshire. Locksley's buildings were made of wood, and it was smoky and dirty like many other towns in England. Robin's father owned a small farm, which didn't have very much land. Life was sometimes very hard. The family hadn't always been poor. Robin's grandfather had been a knight, and he had owned a lot of land around Locksley. But then the Sheriff of Nottingham had taken the land because Robin's grandfather could not afford to pay the sheriff's high taxes. Robin worked on his father's farm every day. He had grown up to be tall and strong. He was fair-haired and very handsome. Robin liked to practice archery on his father's farm, and he had become a very good archer. Many people came to watch Robin shooting his longbow. One of these people was the daughter of a local knight. Her name was Maid Marian. Marian had long blonde hair, and she was very beautiful. Robin and Marian often looked at each other. Then they began to meet secretly, and slowly they fell in love. At this time, the king needed archers for his army. He had ordered all the strong young men in England to practice archery. Every year there were special archery contests in England. In the small towns the prizes were of meat and drink. In the large towns the best archers won prize money. One of the biggest archery contests was held in Nottingham. Every year the Sheriff of Nottingham gave the winning archer a prize from the king. The prize, 100 golden crowns, was a lot of money. Archers came from all over England to compete in the contest. When Robin reached his 18th birthday, he decided to speak to his father about the contest in Nottingham. "Father, please let me go to Nottingham," Robin said. "I am old enough to enter the contest, and I am the best archer in Locksley. I can hit a target at 500 paces. Let me compete with the archers in Nottingham. I am sure that I can win." His father was silent for a moment. Then he replied, "You are a very good archer, my boy, but the king and the sheriff want archers for their wars. Don't go, Robin. Stay in Locksley and be a farmer. It's not a bad life." "But I want to see the world," said Robin. "I have never been to Nottingham, and I may win 100 golden crowns. With that money we can buy more land, and then I can ask Marian to marry me." "You may win the contest," replied Robin's father, "but Marian's family still won't let you marry her. They want their daughter to marry a knight, not a farmer." "But your father was a knight," said Robin. "He owned land in Huntingdon and around Locksley." "That was over 20 years ago," said his father. "The sheriff took most of our land when my father could not pay his taxes. Now we are poor, and no one can take any more from us." "We are poor, but honest," replied Robin. "I am sure that Marian will marry me for love." "Do not talk of love and honesty," said his father angrily. "There is no love or honesty in England. The rich become richer, while the poor become poorer. The rich make the laws, the poor pay taxes." But Robin was determined to go to the contest. "Father, I must go to Nottingham," Robin said. "I am sure that I will win the sheriff's money. Perhaps Marian will not marry me, but at least we will not be poor any more." "Then go," replied his father. "You have seen little of the world, and I pray that you return safely. Go with God, and may He protect you. But go straight there and come straight back again. Do not stop on the way." Chapter 2. How Robin Hood became an outlaw. Robin set off on foot for Nottingham with his longbow and arrows. It was a fine morning in June. The fields were green and the sky was blue. Robin was young and strong, and he felt that the world was new. He sang as he walked along the road. Soon he entered Sherwood Forest. Sherwood was a very large and old forest. It was full of great oak trees, and the sun shone through the leaves and branches onto the road. Robin knew that there were guards in the forest. They were called foresters. The foresters looked after the trees and the deer for the Sheriff of Nottingham and the king. No man could cut wood or shoot deer in Sherwood. After a while, Robin came to a clearing. In the clearing were 15 men. They were eating a huge meat pie and drinking ale from a tall barrel. These men were the sheriff's foresters. Robin knew this because the men were wearing green shirts. The colour of the shirts was called Lincoln green. The men looked up when they heard Robin. "Where are you going, boy?" one of the foresters called. He was a large man and seemed to be the leader of the group. His mouth was full of meat pie as he spoke. "I am going to Nottingham," Robin answered. "I am going to compete in the archery contest." The forester poured himself another cup of ale. He laughed. "Now boys want to enter the archery contest. And what will you shoot with, little boy? A cheap bow and some old arrows? The contest at Nottingham is for real men, with real bows and arrows." "My bow is as good as yours," replied Robin angrily, "and I can shoot farther and straighter than you." "Can you, my boy?" said the forester. "Can you shoot one of those deer over there?" The forester pointed to a herd of deer. It was very hard to see the animals because they were about 500 paces away and partly hidden in the trees. "Yes, I can," answered Robin. Then he took his bow from his back and put it against his foot. He bent the bow and fixed the string to it. Then he took an arrow and put it to the bow. "Those deer are too far away," said the forester to the other men in the clearing. "I'm sure that they are safe. The boy will miss, then we will kick him on his way to Nottingham." The other foresters laughed and drank more ale. Robin pulled back on his bow and took careful aim. Then he released the arrow, and his bow sang as it flew towards the deer. The largest of the deer jumped up, then fell to the ground. The arrow had gone into the deer's neck. "He's killed one of the king's deer!" cried one of the foresters. "You will be punished for this!" the leader shouted at Robin. "The Sheriff of Nottingham is my cousin, and I will take you to him. He will cut off your ears and your fingers. You will never shoot a bow again." "Let me pass!" cried Robin. Then he ran into the trees. He ran as fast as he could, and he did not look back. The foresters had drunk too much ale and eaten too much meat pie. They could not run fast enough to catch Robin. "I will stop him," said their leader. He took his bow and put an arrow to it. The forester shot the arrow at Robin's back, but his aim was bad. The arrow flew past Robin's ear and hit a tree. Robin turned around angrily. Before the forester could shoot again, Robin put an arrow to his bow and aimed it. He let the arrow go, and it flew through the air and hit the forester in the chest. Bright red blood ran down the man's Lincoln green shirt. The man cried out and fell down. Robin turned and disappeared into the forest. The foresters brought the dead man's body to Nottingham. Then they went to the Sheriff of Nottingham and told him what had happened. As he listened, the sheriff's face turned dark with anger. "How did this happen?" he shouted. "You must catch the murderer who killed my cousin! Hang him!" So the foresters travelled to all the towns on the far side of Sherwood Forest. "Who is the young man who can shoot a deer at 500 paces?" they asked the townspeople. The people of Locksley knew that there was only one young man who could shoot a deer at 500 paces. Soon the sheriff heard the name of Robin Hood. "I will give 100 golden crowns to the man who brings me Robin Hood," he said to his men. "He has killed one of the king's foresters and one of the king's deer. He is an outlaw. Bring me Robin Hood of Locksley, dead or alive." Chapter 3. The Outlaws of Sherwood Forest. Robin ran through the forest until he could run no more. "I wish that forester had never spoken to me," he thought to himself. "I wish that I had followed a different path through the forest." But what was done was done. Robin was now an outlaw. He could not return to his home. He could not see his father or Maid Marian again. Now he would have to hide in the forest and live like an animal. Robin soon realized that he was not alone in the forest. Other men lived there too. The first person Robin met was called Will Stutely. Will Stutely was a thin man with sharp eyes. "I am a barber," Will Stutely explained to Robin. "I used to shave the beards of Norman knights. Then one day I cut a man's throat and he died. Now I am a wanted man." Soon many other men joined them. Some of the men were in the forest because they had not paid their taxes. Some of the men had killed the king's deer in winter because there had been no food for their families. All these men were outlaws. They had come to Sherwood Forest to escape the king's soldiers. It was easy for the outlaws to hide. Sherwood was a large forest, and it was summer. The days were long and warm. There were many deer to hunt and fish to catch in the rivers. There was dry wood for making fires, and nuts and berries to eat from the trees and bushes. There was wild corn in the clearings at the forest's edge. There were now more than 50 outlaws, and that number grew each week. The outlaws wore coats of Lincoln green, which they had stolen from the king's foresters. The green coats helped them to hide in the forest. "Every day, the sheriff robs the ordinary people with high taxes," Robin said to the other outlaws. "We should rob the sheriff in return. But we will not rob him because we want to be rich. We will rob the rich to give to the poor. We will not harm women, children, or honest men. We will right wrongs when we can, and we will bring hope to the people. We will live outside the law, because the law is only for rich men. We will fight these rich men's unfair laws." Every day, Robin and the outlaws moved to a different part of Sherwood. They knew that the sheriff's men often came through the forest looking for them. The sheriff's men wanted the reward of 100 golden crowns for Robin Hood, caught dead or alive. "We cannot go on living like this," Robin said to the other outlaws. "We cannot keep running away from the sheriff's men. We have to stop and fight." "But we cannot fight," said Will Stutely. "We only have a few bows and knives and quarterstaffs. The sheriff's men have swords and shields. They have crossbows, and there are too many of them for us to fight." "We will not fight them all at the same time," replied Robin. "But we can fight a few of them at a time. We must find somewhere where we can live without the sheriff's men finding us. In a few weeks it will be autumn, and the leaves of the forest will turn brown and fall. The days will grow short and cold. Soon we will need food for the winter. We must fight the winter and the Sheriff of Nottingham. So the outlaws went out in small groups. They went to explore the deepest parts of the forest. They were looking for a place where no one would be able to find them. Robin searched the forest alone. He followed paths and crossed rivers. At last he came to a part of the wood where the sun did not shine. Here, the trees and bushes grew high and thick, like a dark green wall. Robin followed the wall until he found a narrow path which went into the deep bushes. Robin followed this path for many minutes until he came to a clearing. The clearing was neither damp nor dark. It was a place of light and air. It was on a high slope that rose above the trees. Around the edges of the clearing was a large ring of stones. A dead oak tree with broken branches stood on the top of the slope. Robin walked up to it. There was a crack in the side of the tree, and inside was a hollow space. Robin could see something shining inside the crack. He put his hand inside and pulled out a horn. The horn was made of bone and white metal. It was a hunting horn. Robin put the horn to his lips and blew it hard. Suddenly, the trees and bushes all bent down, as if they were under a great wind. The clearing became very bright. The sound of the horn sang through the forest as Robin called the other outlaws to him. He blew the horn again and again. The men had travelled far across Sherwood Forest, but they all heard the sound of the horn. Immediately, they stopped searching and followed the noise until they came to the clearing and the old oak tree. Robin and the outlaws had found their new home. Chapter 4. Little John. The men made a simple camp in the clearing. The narrow path was the only way into the camp, and it was easy to guard. "Tomorrow we will go hunting again," said Robin to the men. "But this time we will go hunting for news. We need information about the sheriff's men. We need to know who is travelling to Nottingham. Look for groups of knights. Look for tax collectors. They will travel slowly and will have money and weapons. We will welcome them here in the woods." The next day, Robin went alone to the edge of Sherwood Forest. He walked along a path until he came to a river. A branch of wood crossed the river like a bridge. Only one man could walk across this branch at a time. A stranger was coming along the path from the opposite direction. The stranger and Robin stood at either end of the bridge. Both men carried quarterstaffs. The stranger was very tall and very broad. He was the biggest man that Robin had ever seen. "Let the better man cross first," shouted the stranger to Robin. The stranger had a handsome, happy face. He smiled at Robin as he spoke. Robin also smiled. "Then let me pass," he said, "for I am the better man." "Ha! We shall see," said the stranger. Then he lifted his quarterstaff in both hands. He was ready to fight. Robin took hold of his own quarterstaff and stepped onto the branch. The stranger also stepped onto the branch, and the two men began to fight. Robin was tall, but the stranger was taller. Robin was broad, but the stranger was broader. Both men were strong. They moved backwards and forwards along the narrow branch as they fought. After many minutes of fighting, the stranger hit Robin hard on the side of his head. Robin fell into the water, and the stranger laughed. "Ha! Now who is the better man?" said the man. "Here, give me your hand. You have given me good exercise today." He helped Robin out of the water, and the two men sat next to the river. "What is your name?" asked Robin. "I am called John Little," said the stranger. "Have you ever heard of Robin Hood?" asked Robin. "Of course I have," said John Little. "He is an outlaw who lives here in the forest. The Sheriff of Nottingham is looking for him. But I have no love for the Sheriff and his men, so I hope that he doesn't catch Robin Hood." "Would you like to join Robin Hood and his group of outlaws?" asked Robin. John Little looked at Robin carefully. "Who are you?" he asked. "Why do you want me to become an outlaw?" Robin did not answer. Instead, he took his horn from his belt and blew it 3 times. Soon his men came running from the forest. They came to the river and stood around Robin and John Little. "My name is Robin Hood, and these are my men," Robin said. "Will you join us?" "I see many men around you," said John Little, "but I still do not know you. I only know the name Robin Hood. I also know that Robin Hood is a very good archer. Show me that you can shoot an arrow, and I will believe you." Robin lifted his bow and arrow. "Tell me what to shoot," he said. John Little looked around and pointed into the forest. "Do you see that young tree?" he asked. "It's about 500 paces away and no broader than a man's hand. Can you shoot an arrow into that tree?" "It is not an easy target," said Robin. "You have chosen well." Robin put an arrow to his bow. Then he took aim and shot the arrow into the young tree. "You must be Robin Hood," said John Little. "Well, I do not love the Sheriff, nor the men who collect taxes from the common people. So yes, Robin Hood, I will join you and your men." Robin smiled at the big man. Then he laughed loudly. "We must have a feast to celebrate," he said, "and to welcome you to our home in Sherwood Forest." In the forest clearing, by the old oak tree, the outlaws built a great fire and roasted an ox. They ate the ox and drank ale until they were full. At the end of the feast, Robin took a cup of ale and held it over John Little's head. "You are the biggest man I have ever seen," Robin said. "And now you are one of us, so we will give you a new name. We shall call you Little John." And Robin poured the ale over Little John's head. Chapter 5. Will Stutely the Barber. The Sheriff of Nottingham collected taxes from all the neighbouring towns. His tax collectors were knights and barons and churchmen. One of these churchmen, the Abbot of St. Mary's, came to Nottingham every year. The abbot brought the taxes he had collected from the town of Doncaster. Knights and soldiers helped him guard the money as he travelled. Soon the Abbot of St. Mary's will pass through the forest on his journey to Nottingham, Robin told the outlaws. We must be ready to welcome him. Go out of the forest and look for the abbot. Come back and tell me how many men are travelling with him. But the Sheriff of Nottingham was not stupid. Robin Hood will learn that the Abbot of St. Mary's is coming to Nottingham, he told his men. I am sure that he will try to steal the tax money from the abbot as he travels through Sherwood Forest. But we must be ready for him. We will catch Robin Hood, and we will hang him from a high tree. Will Stutely set out to look for the abbot and his men. He decided to search the north side of the forest because he knew that the abbot would pass that way. Will had sharp eyes and a quick mind. He also had a plan. Will watched and waited. Soon he saw a group coming towards him. With them was the abbot. He was riding in a covered wagon that was pulled by 6 white horses. There were many knights and soldiers around him. The wagon moved slowly. "There must be gold in that wagon," thought Will Stutely. "It is heavy, and so is the abbot. He is very fat." Will followed the abbot and his men to a small town at the edge of Sherwood Forest. Then he watched as the men stopped at a small inn. It was evening now, and Will guessed that they would spend the night there. Will Stutely was a barber. He always carried a pair of scissors and a razor with him. The men who travelled with the abbot were Normans, and Normans liked to be shaved every day. They liked to have very short hair on their heads, so they often needed the services of a barber. But the Normans preferred to be shaved by Norman barbers. They did not trust every barber with a sharp razor. Will Stutely slept by the road near the inn. In the morning, he woke to the sound of the abbot's men. They were calling for a barber. "Barber! Barber!" the knights called in Norman French. But there was no barber at the inn. Will Stutely stepped forward. "I am a barber, good sirs," he told them. "May I be of service to you?" One of the knights spoke English. He looked at Will Stutely coldly. "Do you know how to shave a monk's head?" the knight asked. "Yes, I do, sir," said Will. "I have cut the hair of many monks at Fountains Abbey and at the Abbey of—" "Enough!" shouted the knight. "Be silent! These men have decided to become monks." He pointed at the group of knights. "Cut their hair and shave their heads. Do it carefully and you will be paid. If you are careless, you will be whipped." Will Stutely started to shave the men's heads, but it was a strange task. Knights did not usually shave their heads like monks. Why did they want to do this? As Will worked, he was listening to what the men were saying. The men spoke Norman French, and they did not think that Will understood them. But Will Stutely had worked as a barber at an abbey, and he knew enough Norman French to understand the men's conversation. "Robin Hood and his outlaws will think we are monks because we will have shaved heads," said one of the knights. "He will think that we have no weapons." "We will surprise them all," said another knight. "We will catch and kill these outlaws of Sherwood Forest." After their hair was cut, the knights put on the clothes of monks, brown clothes that covered their swords and armour. Will Stutely watched and listened. The large, heavy wagon was still outside the inn, but now there was also a smaller, open cart. The soldiers put bags of flour into this open cart. Then they pushed smaller, heavier bags under the bags of flour. Will guessed that these were bags of golden crowns. He counted 40 bags altogether. Then the abbot of St. Mary's came out of the inn. He sat in the smaller, open cart. He was not wearing the clothes of a churchman. He was wearing the clothes of a miller. The larger covered wagon set off along the main road. The knights, who were now dressed as monks, went with the covered wagon. The abbot of St. Mary's travelled along another, smaller road. 2 knights rode beside his cart. A group of women walked behind him. One of the women carried a small child. The group travelled slowly. Will Stutely travelled faster. He went to tell Robin what he had seen. Chapter 6. The Abbot of St. Mary's. The covered wagon moved slowly into Sherwood Forest. It was heavy, and the road was full of holes. The knights watched the road in front of them carefully. They looked for outlaws in the trees. "We are in the middle of the forest now," said one of the knights. "I am sure that Robin Hood and his men will attack us soon. Don't worry. The sheriff and his men are coming from Nottingham, and we will catch the outlaws when they attack us. We will kill them all." Suddenly, an arrow flew out of the forest. It hit one of the knights in the chest. The knight was not hurt because he was wearing armour under his brown monk's clothes. Then a tall man stepped into the road. "Stop right there!" the tall man shouted. "I am Robin Hood. All people passing through Sherwood Forest must pay me a tax." Immediately, the covers of the wagon opened, and men armed with crossbows jumped out. The knights pulled out their swords, and one of them blew a hunting horn. Another horn answered from farther up the road. The sheriff's men were coming. The tall man in the road looked surprised. "Run! There are too many of them. We are surrounded," he shouted. But the knights could not see who he was shouting to. "Go after him!" cried one of the knights. "It's Robin Hood! Catch him!" The tall man ran into the forest, and the knights ran after him. The soldiers followed, and so did the crossbowmen. They chased the tall man for half the day, but Little John knew the forest too well, and the knights could not catch him. Little John had been alone. The other outlaws were with the real Robin Hood, in another part of the forest. Robin was standing in the middle of a narrow road when the fat miller appeared. The miller was riding in the smaller open cart. Two knights rode on horses beside the cart. The women and child walked a little way behind. "Where are you going, good miller?" Robin called out. The miller did not reply. Instead, the knight who spoke English said, "We are going to Nottingham. Let us pass. Or do you mean to hurt these women and the child?" "I am talking to the miller," said Robin. "Let him answer." But the fat miller said nothing. So Robin walked up to the cart. "All travellers who pass through Sherwood must pay a tax," he told the miller. "We will take a little flour from you, but we will take only the small bags." The miller's face turned red. Suddenly, he put his hand into his shirt and pulled out a sword, but Robin caught the miller's hand. "This is a pretty sword," said Robin. "It does not belong to a miller, I am sure. I will take it as a gift from you." Then Robin pulled the miller out of the cart and threw him onto the road. Suddenly, 20 outlaws stepped out of the trees. They aimed their bows and arrows at the knights. The knights and the miller were surrounded. "I am Sir Roger of Doncaster," said the knight who spoke English. "Who is this outlaw who robs women and a poor miller?" "I am Robin Hood of Sherwood Forest," answered Robin, "and we shall see if this miller is really poor." Then 2 of the outlaws climbed into the cart. They moved the large bags of flour. Underneath, they found the 40 bags of golden crowns. "Tell me, how does a miller have 40 bags of golden crowns?" asked Robin. "Who is the real thief here?" The miller did not answer. Instead, he watched silently as the outlaws lifted the 40 bags of gold from the wagon. "Now go in peace," said Robin, "and give my good wishes to the Sheriff of Nottingham." And so the knights and the abbot and the women went on their way to Nottingham. Robin and his men travelled back to their camp in the middle of the forest. They carried the 40 bags of gold with them. The abbot of St. Mary's was no poorer because of Robin Hood. The gold had not been his. It was tax that he had collected for the Sheriff of Nottingham. But the abbot was still a very angry man. "I will have my revenge," he said to Roger of Doncaster. I do not care how long it takes, but I will find a way to kill Robin Hood." The Abbot of St. Mary's was a rich and powerful man. He had friends at the King's court in London. These friends told the king about Robin Hood. "40 bags of gold!" shouted King Henry angrily. "The Sheriff of Nottingham let an outlaw steal 40 bags of gold? Send for the sheriff. Let him explain himself." But when the Sheriff of Nottingham arrived to see the king, he was met by King Henry's youngest son, Prince John. King Henry had gone to France. He had left to fight a war against the French king. Prince John was a dark-haired man. He was only 21 years old, but he was already getting fat. John loved food, and he often ate so much that he became ill. "Good Sheriff of Nottingham," John said, "I hear that we have a problem. What shall we do about this outlaw called Robin Hood?" "My lord, I shall take care of it," said the sheriff. "I promise you that I will catch Robin Hood and hang him." "Make sure that you do," said Prince John. "Also know this, that after his death, my father wishes me to become King of England. He does not want Richard to be king. And when I am king, I will need good servants like you, the Sheriff of Nottingham." The sheriff bowed his head to Prince John. "My lord, you know that I am your true servant," he said. "Good," said Prince John. "As you know, my brother Richard likes fighting. He believes in truth and justice. But I think you are a man like myself, good sheriff. We both know that the most important thing in life is money." Chapter 7. The Golden Arrow. The sheriff returned to Nottingham. It was harvest time. Time to cut and collect the corn from the fields at the end of summer. There was always a great festival after the harvest. "This year we will have a special harvest festival," said the sheriff to the people of Nottingham. "We will have an archery contest. Prince John will give a special prize. The prize will be an arrow made from gold." The sheriff sent messengers to all the towns and villages. Soon news of the contest reached Robin. "A golden arrow is a good prize," Robin told the other outlaws. "But I know why the Sheriff of Nottingham is having this contest. It's a trap. He is expecting me to come, so that he can catch me and hang me." Robin was right. The sheriff did expect Robin to come to the archery contest. He planned to trap Robin and his men in Nottingham town. "Watch out for Robin Hood," the sheriff told his soldiers and other knights. "He is a tall, fair man. Many of you have seen him and heard him speak. He is a brave outlaw. I am sure he will come to the archery contest. He will try to disguise himself, but we will know him." On the day of the archery contest, the sheriff dressed in his best clothes. He looked very handsome in his purple cloak and a velvet cap, but underneath his clothes he was wearing armour. Archers had come from all over England for the contest. The archery range was decorated with flags and ribbons of coloured cloth. All the people of Nottingham town came to watch the archers. The people cheered and shouted as the sheriff stood up and raised his hand. "All men who wish to enter the contest may shoot an arrow," he said, "but only the 12 best men can enter the contest." For the first hour, 100 men took turns to shoot an arrow at a target. There was a black circle at the centre of the target. The black circle was called a bull's eye. Some of the archers missed the target completely. Some of them hit the edge of the target. Only 12 men hit inside the bullseye. Among the 12 men was the sheriff's champion archer. His name was Gilbert Redcap. The sheriff watched the other 11 men carefully. Some of them he knew, but half of them were strangers. "Find out the names of the strangers," he said to his steward. "Robin Hood will not tell us his name, but we know he is tall and fair. Can you see anyone who matches his description?" "There is one tall, fair-haired man among these 12 archers," replied the steward. "I cannot see his face clearly because he wears a blue hood. I will try to find out his name." The sheriff stood up, and the crowd became silent. "You will all shoot 3 arrows in the first round," the sheriff explained to the 12 archers. "The target is 120 paces away. The 6 best archers from the first round will go into the second round. Those 6 archers will shoot 2 arrows at a target that is 240 paces away. The 3 best archers from the second round will go into the third round," the sheriff continued. "In this final round, the archers will shoot 1 arrow each. The target will be 360 paces away. The winner will be the man who shoots closest to the centre of the bullseye." Then the sheriff raised his hand, and trumpets sounded. "Let the first round begin!" he cried. The tall stranger dressed in blue stepped forward. He gave his name as William of London. All 3 of his arrows hit the bullseye. The crowd cheered. The other archers took turns to shoot. The next archer did not hit the target, and the archer after him hit it only once. The next 2 archers hit the bullseye with their 3 arrows. Then Gilbert Redcap stepped forward. He shot his 3 arrows quickly. They all hit near to the centre of the bullseye. "Hurrah, Gilbert!" shouted the crowd. The last archer to shoot in the contest was a strange man. His back was bent, and he was dressed like a beggar, a very poor man. His clothes were made of many pieces of red cloth. His hair and beard were brown, and he had only 1 eye. A black patch covered half his face and his right eye. "He is a strange-looking man," said the sheriff to the steward. "What is his name?" "He calls himself Jack of Lincoln," replied the steward. "He was hurt in the King's wars." "I am sure that he cannot shoot straight with only 1 eye and a bent back," said the sheriff. The beggar stepped forward. The crowd shouted and laughed at the beggar's strange clothes and his bent back. The beggar did not look at the crowd. He drew back his bow and aimed an arrow at the target. He shot the arrow and hit the centre of the bullseye. Then he quickly shot 2 more arrows into the bullseye. The crowd was silent. "That beggar is lucky," said the sheriff. "But he will not beat Gilbert. Move the targets back to 240 paces." The 6 best archers from the first round shot again. This time they shot 2 arrows each. William of London shot well. Both his arrows hit the bullseye. The next 2 archers were not so lucky. Gilbert Redcap shot close to the very centre of the bullseye. The strange beggar also shot both his arrows into the bullseye. "There are only 3 men left," said the sheriff to his steward. "That beggar is a good archer, but the man to watch is William of London. Tell the soldiers to stand near him. I'm sure he is Robin Hood. He won't escape me this time." Then the sheriff stood up. "Move the targets back to 360 paces," he shouted. The crowd went silent as William of London stepped forward and pulled back the blue hood of his cloak. He was tall and fair, just like the description of Robin Hood. William took careful aim. He shot an arrow and hit the bullseye, but he did not hit very near to its centre. "A good shot," said the sheriff, "but Gilbert can do better. Hurrah for Gilbert!" "Hurrah for Gilbert!" shouted the crowd. Then Gilbert stepped forward. He drew back his bow and took careful aim. The arrow hit the centre of the bullseye. The crowd went wild. "Gilbert! Gilbert!" they shouted. "He has won," said the sheriff. "My champion archer has won. He is better than Robin Hood." When the beggar stepped forward to take his shot, the crowd were not watching him. They were talking excitedly about Gilbert. Slowly, the beggar drew back his bow. Then he took careful aim with his one good eye and shot his arrow. Suddenly, the crowd stopped talking. Something strange had happened. Everyone was looking at the target. Then a knight came towards the sheriff. "Gilbert's arrow is broken, my lord," he said. "The stranger's arrow has split Gilbert's arrow. It has gone right through to the very centre of the bullseye." The crowd had gone very quiet. The sheriff was not pleased, but he tried to smile. He raised the prize in his hand and showed it to the crowd. It was an arrow made of pure gold, a golden arrow. "Come forward," said the sheriff to the beggar. "I need good archers, and I invite you to join my army. You can eat my meat, drink my ale, and live under my roof. What do you say about that?" The beggar stood up straight and looked at the sheriff. "I say no, sir," he said, "for I am my own man. I have no need of a lord and master." Then the beggar took the golden arrow from the sheriff and held it up to show the crowd. The people cheered. "You are a very rude beggar," said the sheriff. "Get out of Nottingham now, or you will be whipped for your rudeness." The beggar turned and disappeared into the crowd. He held the golden arrow high above his head. The sheriff was so angry that he forgot about Robin Hood. He called for his horse and rode quickly back to the castle. That evening, the sheriff ate a great meal with his favourite knights. "I expected Robin Hood to come to the contest," he told the knights, "but he is not brave enough to show his face in Nottingham." Suddenly, there was a noise. An arrow had hit the castle's wooden ceiling. "Where did that arrow come from?" asked the sheriff. "It came through the window, my lord," answered his steward. "There is a piece of paper tied to it." "Quick, give the paper to me," said the sheriff. He tore the paper from the arrow. It was a message. "We eat and drink in Sherwood, for today the sheriff gave a golden prize away. Robin Hood, the beggar." The sheriff's face turned red, and he ate no more that night. But the outlaws in Sherwood Forest shared a great feast. Robin washed the brown colour from his hair and beard and took off the eye patch. He lifted the bag of flour from under the back of his shirt. Then he hung the arrow on the old oak tree. It was his prize for everyone to see. It was his prize for being the best archer in England.